Hello, it's your girl Romix. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to be talking about getting started with API key as a beginner. I will be referencing Anthropics documentation, which, by the way, will be used in other upcoming videos as well. If it's your first time here, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video.
For this series, I'll be going through some of Anthropics documentation and what you can do with Claude, starting with getting familiar with API key and simple things you can achieve with it as a beginner. You want to build an app that talks to Claude. You need a way to prove to Anthropic servers that you're allowed to use their AI or their platform generally. That proof is your API key. Today, you secure your API key, send your first request to Claude, and get a response back. This takes about 5 minutes. Let's get into it.
So basically, an API key tells the service who is making the call and what they're allowed to do, like a badge, and it links requests to your account, permissions, and usage limits. Now let's get your actual key from Anthropic. You need an account first. Okay, go to the Anthropic console and sign up. Once you are in, look for the API keys section in settings. Click to generate a new key. You'll see a long string appear once. Copy it now because Anthropic won't allow you to copy it again. It won't show it again. So if you lose it, you delete this key and make a new one. You need to store this key somewhere your code can read it without hackers finding it. And the standard approach uses environment variables. These are settings your computer holds in memory while you work, and you set them in your terminal before running your code. This keeps keys out of your actual code files. So if you keep or you put the keys directly in your code and mistakenly upload to GitHub or any other repo, bots find them in like minutes and you may start racking up charges on your account. Let's walk through a Python example because it's the clearest. First, you tell your terminal about the key with that export command. That is, if you're in Bash environment, you can use the export. If you can use setx in if you're using Windows PowerShell. Replace the placeholder with your actual key string. Next, you need Anthropic's Python library. This library handles all the technical details of formatting, request, and passing responses. Now, create a Python file. Call it quickstart.py, whatever name you want to call it. You'll write about 10 lines of code in total. First, you import the Anthropic library. Then you create a client object. This client knows how to talk to Anthropic servers and it automatically reads your API key from that environment variable you set earlier. Next, you create a message. You must specify which model to use. I personally recommend Claude Sonnet 4.5. It balances speed and intelligence. And you can set max tokens to like 1000. Then you pass your actual question in the messages array. The role field tells Claude who is speaking. The user means you. Later, you see assistants for Claude's responses. This matters when you build conversations with multiple back and forth exchanges. Then the content field holds your actual prompt. You can see the example showing here. It's asking for search strategies about renewable energy. You could ask for anything here. Run the file you have created in your terminal. In our case, we have created a quickstart.py. So your computer sends a request to Anthropic servers. It gets processed, generates a response, and sends it back. This takes 1 to 3 seconds typically. You see a response object print to your terminal. It contains Claude's answer plus metadata about token usage. So the response wraps Claude's text in a text block object. You access just the text. You see something like message.content.text if you want the string by itself. The usage section at the end shows you the input tokens you've used for your question and the X number of output tokens for Claude's answer. You pay separately for input and output. Usually, output costs more because generating text takes more computation than reading it. Let's try a different example to make this concrete. Say you're building a cooking app. You want Claude to suggest recipes based on ingredients. You change the content field to something like half potato, half chicken, half peppers. Suggest three quick lunch recipes. Everything else stays the same. Let's you leave the model, the token limits, same structure, just different words in the content field. You can try it right now. Run this new version and Claude returns three recipes with instructions. Same code structure, completely different output. This shows you the basic pattern. You send text, Claude processes it, you get text back. Every AI application builds on this foundation. Chatbots, content generators, code assistants all use the same request and response cycle. So you may want to test with other languages. I mean, it's easy to test with Curl and Python. The other languages work the same way. TypeScript uses async await syntax because JavaScript handles network requests differently. And Java requires more setup with dependency management through Maven and or Gradle. Curl is just raw HTTP request without any language at all. You type the full request structure directly in your terminal. All four approaches send identical data to the same API endpoint. So pick the language you already know and test it out. By the way, Cloud's API is stateless. For simple requests you are making, you need to send the whole conversation, the whole history. If you tell it your name in one request, it won't remember it in the next. So every call starts fresh unless you resend the context. But in real production apps, conversation history is stored in a database or Redis if you need it fast, and it gets sent with every request. Let's talk about errors. One common one happens when you forget to export your API key. You'll see an authentication error saying invalid API key or API key not found. This means the client looked for the environment variable and found nothing. So you go back to your terminal and run that export command again. Environment variables only last for your current terminal session. If you close the terminal and open a new one, you need to export again. Unless you set in shell config file on Linux, on MacBook, on Windows, you can use system environment variables. Another error happens when you hit rate limits. Anthropic restricts how many requests you can make per minute based on your account tier. Free tier gets fewer requests than paid. If you look through 100 requests in 10 seconds, you can get a 4 to 9 error. The fix is adding delays between requests or upgrading your account. And the error message tells you how long to wait before trying again. Well done. You just sent your first request to Claude via API call and got a response back. Take your Python file or whatever file you have created and change the question to something you actually need answered. Run it again, see how Claude responds differently. In summary, we have created an API key, authenticated with it, sent a prompt, and received a response. Next, you will want to learn about system prompts. This lets you set Claude's behavior and personality before the conversation starts. You also learn about streaming responses where Claude sends words as it generates them instead of waiting for the complete answer. And you learn about function calling where Claude decides to run your code functions based on what the user asked for.